using simplicity to solve a David and Goliath cybersecurity imbalance. I'm Tonya Hall, and joining me is Dr. Edward Amoroso, research professor at NYU and founder and CEO of Tag Cyber. Welcome, Ed.
Hi, Tanya.
What's the mission of Tag Cyber and what motivated you to start the company?
Oh, we're really focused on helping enterprise teams sort of understand the cybersecurity technology trends and also the vendors that are out there that they can use to build good, solid defense architectures to protect their assets. So we're there to help practitioners.
You wrote an article recently about using simplicity to stop nation state cyber threats. Tell us that story, please.
Isn't that funny? Like when you think about security, usually you think about adding something, adding cameras, adding guards, adding gates, right? But bringing something in to block or stop or deflect an attack. But I've learned in almost 4 decades of doing this that maybe we should be thinking about it a little differently, that the assets that we put out on the internet and our website and our business and just virtualize across cloud, these have gotten too complicated. Everything is too complicated. And it's that complexity that a malicious actor takes advantage of to get access to our data and to our systems. So the first step is not to add more complexity by throwing more security in. We've been advising the first step is to simplify. That means to make 100% sure that whatever it is you're doing there's this concept of minimal or minimization where you turn off anything that's not necessary. Now, certainly you're going to need security controls over that, but I think in our industry, we've dramatically underestimated the value of simplifying infrastructure, turning things off, getting rid of things you don't need. I'm an old Unix security person from way back, and we would have this concept of hardening an operating system or hardening a Unix system. And that really just boiled down to going in and turning off everything you could find that was not necessarily like when mom and dad tell you to turn the lights off that are not being used. There's a cybersecurity equivalent of that, and that's what we mean by simplifying.
How do you validate what is or isn't necessary?
Well, you have to have some experience. This is not for normal end users. I mean, my mom is not going to be the target of this message. Certainly end users should be aware of what they can and can't do to reduce risk. My mother shouldn't be clicking on emails that look like they're coming from weird sources. But this idea of setting up services in the cloud and setting up network infrastructure or running enterprise systems, this is for experts. So those experts are aware of the certifications that matter, the compliance frameworks that are important, and also the models that will help them do design. And that's what we do at TAG. We try to provide guidance to those practitioners. So we're really not, we're not like a consumer magazine that you just pick up and read, or a consumer website that you pick up and get some general everyday guidance. We're not that. We are for expert practitioners, many of whom I know watch your videos. So I hope we'll reach many of them through this discussion.
Compared to a company's tool and talent resources, a nation state threat actor may have a nearly infinite budget and tool chest from which to draw upon. How do you approach the challenge of securing against such a David and Goliath imbalance?
Very, very humbly, and you've characterized it correctly. When you deal with a nation state, it may not be infinite, but it's pretty unlimited resources that are going to be targeting consequential systems. Like it'd probably be less apt to be going after a small business that maybe sells retail or something, versus say oil and gas or power or telecom or banking. These are consequential systems that are the targets of nation state actors. It's a tough situation because offense is so much easier, right? If I told you, can you break into that house over there? Well, you just need to find one window that you can rattle and get in. If I told you prevent all break-ins, then you've got to fix every window and every door and every crack. It's a much more difficult process. So IT teams, IT security teams that are dealing with nation states, they've got a tough job. They're underpaid, understaffed, and I think, undervalued personally. So that is one of our missions at Tag Cyber, to support them in protecting all of us from the kinds of attacks that just are, it's an unfair fight when it's a nation state against a company.
How can someone get a copy of your 2021 security report and maybe study your glossary of cyber terms or watch some of your interviews that you and your team conduct, or maybe even enjoy some of that humor you have posted on your site? How can they do that?
Well, the website is, most of the content there is free. We do have a for sale portal that we do with our customers that provide much more tailored research to their needs. But for people who are just interested, we have a very content rich website with a whole gigantic number of articles on a variety of searchable topics, and also LinkedIn and Twitter. We tend to be pretty active. I tweet at #_cyber. And LinkedIn, you can just find me under my name, and there's a lot of good content there, including, you referenced humor. We have a cartoon series called Charlie CISO, where we get some pretty subtle messages across in cybersecurity using, a professional illustrator, my Rich Powell, who's one of our employees. I dream up the cartoon and he writes them, and it's been very popular.
They're very clever. Dr. Edward Amoroso, research professor at NYU and founder and CEO of Tag Cyber. If somebody wants to connect with you personally, Ed, maybe they want to find out more about the work that you do, or maybe you're teaching. And thanks again for joining us. How can they do that?
Well, if you see me down in Lower Manhattan, just come up and tap me on the shoulder and we can chat. But online, you can find us at the website, tag-cyber.com. And as I said, I hope you'll follow me on LinkedIn.
Sounds good. And we'll do that. And find more of my interviews right here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and at tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching and subscribing.